right, let's get this show on the road. Hello, everyone. Hope you're well. I'm kidding with you. I'm at home. Hope you guys are at home. It seems like not everyone is at home. You don't have to turn your cameras on. Hopefully, throughout the semester, at some point, I will see all of you when you come to check in for office hours. So you don't have to actually have your cameras on right now. What I will ask, though, that is that you do participate. So when I ask a question, you either type in the chat or audibly respond. So as long as you're participating that way, we're good. I will be recording these sessions that we have, and I will be posting them publicly. So you might want to have your cameras off, and that is fine. At some point, I will be able to see all of you. What we will be doing during these sessions is I will be sharing my screen a lot, and so that would be the main focus of attention. Do you guys hear that thing? Someone's building my... I don't know if that's affecting the sound quality here. All right, so the plan for today, hopefully you guys can see that. You guys can see my screen. Hello, can you guys see my screen? Okay, all right, cool. So either respond through the chat or audibly. Okay, so yeah, so this is pre-calculus. This is section R03. And what we're going to do today, I'm just going to go through the class, show you how things are going to be run, let you know what to expect and how the semester is going to go. And hopefully it will go well for all of you. So that's what we're going to do today. So as you can see here, my name is Jhevon Smith. Jhevon is fine. That's my email. Office hours, usually after class is a good time to actually talk to me privately. However, by appointment, I'm pretty flexible if you send me an email and you can try to set an appointment up. And we can meet through Zoom, obviously. This is the website. This is my main website. This is our personal class website. And in fact, maybe at this point, okay, so I just posted the class website in the chat. So you guys can have that there. And what you'll notice is, and maybe I should share the screen. Okay, so here is my browser. This is what the website would look like, the link that I just posted in the chat. What I will be going through, what you saw in the OneNote is the syllabus. So if you scroll down to syllabus, you'll see that here. If you click that, it'll bring you to the syllabus that I'm going to be talking about, but this is, you'll notice that all these links here are actually hyperlinked. They're active links, like you can click on them and things will happen and they'll take you places, etc. So the syllabus is hyperlinked, so all the websites I talked about, when you actually go and you access the file, you can actually click on them and you can go. And we'll be clicking on a lot of things in the syllabus, so just so you're aware of that. So I posted that link in the chat box so you can get that. All right, back to OneNote. All right, so let's talk about the rules of the game here. So I got a lot of questions about what textbook we're using and et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to talk about all that right now. And yeah, let's actually just jump into it. So this is Math 1000. It is pre-calculus. Oh, hold on. I can post a syllabus on Blackboard if you want, but I'm not actually going to use Blackboard a lot. I'll use it to send a few announcements, but for the most part, I don't like using Blackboard. Anyway, I'll talk about all that later on. So this is Math 1000 pre-calculus. This is section R03. That's my name. That's the website that I just linked. This is actually the textbook that we will be using, although you don't have to purchase the textbook. I'll talk about that in a little bit. You're going to need to purchase homework access, however. This is the math department website if you ever would need it at some point. And yeah, so 2020 has been crazy, obviously. So things might change in the way the class is running, and that's just a little disclaimer there. And of course, anything that changes in the class policy that I'm talking to you with you now, I will of course inform you, let you know. This is what the websites are about. This is the course description, just a general overview of the kind of things we'll be looking at. Calculators, officially not allowed. You can use them on homework. And if you're doing self-study and you want to actually go deeper with something, or homework asks you to compute something to several decimal places, you might have to use calculators. However, any test or quiz that I give you in this class, you won't need to use a calculator for that test or that quiz. So calculators are not required, and you don't need them in general. So grading, that's the usual grading chart. You can find out more information about grades and the GPA scale at this link right here. And like I said, if you go to that website and open the syllabus, it is clickable. And here are how grades are going to be given in this class. So homework is going to count for 10%, quizzes 15%, tests 40%, and the final will be 35%. Okay, so the homework, and I'll talk a little bit more about these later on as well. But the homework is done online. That you'll have to pay access to, and that you'll get an e-text with as well. So you don't need a physical copy of the textbook. However, if you pay into the homework system, you will be able to get an e-text. And I'll talk about that. So at this point, you can actually get a 2-week trial period where you don't have to pay. So several people wanted to be proactive and get the textbook early and things of that sort. But I'd rather you have your trial period during the class. So if anything happens in the next 2 weeks, or you're just not feeling right about things, you can kind of opt out and not really have to pay anything for it. That being said, okay, yeah, so the background noise is a little bit annoying. Hopefully you can hear me somewhat. I think someone is drilling in the background. Yeah, at this point I can't do anything about that. I'm using a mic that's right by my face, so at this point this is the best the sound quality is going to get probably. So hopefully we can. Maybe I should make sure. Let me check all the windows and doors are closed. I think someone's drilling like right above. I don't know what they're doing. Okay, let's forge ahead. So homework is going to be 10%. That's done on Webassign. I'll talk about how to access that later. Quizzes are 15%. You'll have about 6. I will drop 1. I'll talk about when the quizzes are going to be due, when the homework is going to be due, when the tests are going to happen. There'll be 2 tests. They're non-cumulative. So you'll have one during the midterms week, and then you'll have another one during around the end of the course, pretty much on the last day or somewhere close to the last day of classes. So you're going to have 2 tests. One is going to cover half the curriculum. The second one is going to cover the other half. And unless incidental, they don't really overlap. I'll talk about that. The final is cumulative though. So that will cover everything that we've covered in the entire course. So in terms of big exams, you have 3 of them. So there are 2 in-class ones and a final. And that's how your grade is going to be computed. Okay, so I'm dropping quizzes, and I'm going to give you a cushion for homework. So with quizzes and homework, you can't really make them up. If you miss them, you just miss them. However, if you miss the test, you will have, if you have a good reason and it's documented, you can reach out to me and we can kind of reschedule your makeup. Attendance. Okay, so things are online. So attendance, I will be taking attendance based on your Zoom registration and Zoom attendance. And if you show up here, you're not getting a grade for it. Normally, I usually give grades for attendance. But I understand under the circumstances, depending on what's going on in your home life or wherever you're watching this, you might not be able to attend as regularly as often as usual, or for whatever reason, something might happen. So I decided to kind of take attendance out of things. But the more you show up, the better you'll do. So definitely show up to class. Consider it mandatory. Contact. So communication is going to be very important, especially in this scenario when we're not in person. It is even more important, which is why I said that you should not feel shy. If I ask a question, respond in the chat, respond audibly. Usually you don't need to do that. I think Zoom has a raise your hand feature. I very rarely have people stumbling over each other to answer a math question. So I'm pretty sure you don't have to raise your hand. If you have something to say, you can just hop in and say it, or you can just stop me, or you can type it in the chat right away. Just participate as much as possible. We'll talk about that a little bit more, I guess, later on as well. So contact is going to be important, and I will be contacting you. So chances are, if you're here and you have this link, you did get contact from me, and that's how you knew to show up here through this link. So I just at this point want to take a head count as to what you actually received. So, okay, so in terms of contact, okay, I want you guys to tell me, is there anyone who did not, I repeat, did not, because I assume most of you did. So tell me if you did not get an email from something called Jupiter Ed. Did everyone get a from Jupiter Ed? Is there anyone who did not? Like, no, I didn't see an email from that. Okay, what about my direct email? So I also sent a direct email to everybody. Is there anyone who did not get a direct email from me, from my email that's on the syllabus? Okay. I also posted a Blackboard announcement. Is there anyone who did not get the Blackboard announcement? Okay, so that seems good. Okay, so I also sent out, there's a lot. Like I sent out messages through a bunch of different avenues because I wanted to make sure that everyone got it and showed up. Okay, I also sent out something, a message, an email through something called Gradescope. Gradescope. I assume everyone got a Gradescope email. Is there anyone who did not get that? Okay, so it seems like you guys are getting all points of contact. So yeah, there's like 4 different ways I reached out to everyone, and it seems like they all, or most of them, landed. Okay, all right. So contact is important, so make sure that you can get contact from me. Moving forward, the main things that I'm going to be using to contact the class as a whole is probably Jupiter Ed. That is where your report card is going to be, so where you're going to be able to see your grades in real time. I will occasionally, I don't think I'll send out any mass emails directly from my email address, but of course, if I'm replying to students one-on-one, chances are I'm going to reach out to you from my email address. So those are the 2 main ways that you want to make sure that you have gotten contacted from me. Okay, moving on, feedback. It's okay to give feedback. I highly encourage feedback. I would love for everyone here to do well, to learn, and to become better students. I know a lot of you are probably first-time freshmen, etc. And so there are a lot of things that are going to be different between college life and high school life. And I just want to make sure that you guys are assimilating correctly. So of course, you should definitely give me feedback on whatever. So, and just make it constructive because I'm here to help you. So don't just be like, your teaching sucks. Be like, your teaching sucks because, you know, this would be better, that would be better, maybe you could do this, maybe you could do that. I'm open to suggestions, I'm open to whatever you guys think you will need, and we can have a dialogue about it. So definitely reach out to me. Definitely don't be shy to communicate with me either. So every now and then I would have students who something is going on in their life. And I'm not saying you have to tell me about your personal issues. That's not what I'm telling you. That's not what I'm saying. But if there's anything major that's happening in your life that is going to affect your classwork, or that's going to cause you to miss a quiz, or that's going to cause you to be absent for an extended period of time, you need to reach out to me and let me know whatever issues you're having. If you're studying and things just aren't going well, you should let me know. If your home situation changes and for whatever reason you have to miss stuff, you need to let me know. Also, something that happens not super often, but pretty much 1 or 2 students every semester, this is true, they'll just stop showing up after some point. There just comes a point in the semester where they don't show up anymore and I don't hear from them. And I'm the one who has to reach out to them and find out what's going on. That's not good. Don't let that happen. You need to keep me abreast of what's going on. You don't have to give me any personal details, but you need to let me know, okay, Jhevon, there's a major thing going on at home, or there's a major thing going on with my job, or I have this major medical thing going on, and here's my documentation. I need to be excused for this. Just keep the lines of communications open. It's more important now than ever since we're doing this whole distance learning thing. So just keep in contact with me and make sure that you're getting my contact information. Okay, so let's talk about homework, quizzes, and tests. So it will be through Cengage. You have the website, you have the syllabus, it's clickable. You can see instructions for registering for the class here. You will need a class key. That's going to be this. As I mentioned, you do not have to pay for the class right now. There is a trial period. It's about 2 weeks long. So by the end of today, maybe you can even wait till tomorrow to sign up for the homework, and you should be fine. You can start your 2-week trial there, but that's going to be the class code. Okay, so in terms of homework, of course, the homework is based online. There can be technical issues or whatever. So I give you guys a 10% cushion. So pretty much if your homework average is around 90%, then I'll automatically bump up your homework to 100%. So you can have issues 10% of the time. You can miss 10% of the email, but as long as you're perfect on everything else, 10% of the homework. But as long as you're perfect on everything else, you'll get 100% homework grade, right? So I wouldn't ride the edge of that. Definitely try to get 100% on homework. You have unlimited attempts, so there's really no excuse to not get 100% on homework. And when it comes to assigning grades, I do take into account improvement. So yes, I told you how grades will be assigned up here, but I don't just follow this like a robot, right? We're all people, we're all humans, we all have lives. I understand that some people will learn at a different pace. It'll take some people a while to get in the groove, etc. So at the end of the course, when I'm looking back over everything, I'm deciding grades, I'm going to want to know, okay, this student started off slow, but they progressed, they improved, and that will allow me an excuse to bump you up a little bit or to curve your grades a little bit. And so one of the things I'm going to be looking at is just how much effort you actually put into the homework. That's going to be one of the things. So it's like, if a student's like, oh, professor, I think I deserve a better grade because I've been working so hard and blah, blah, blah. And I look at the homework and I realize you got 22% of the homework. And I'm like, how are you working hard if you only did 22% of the homework? That's like one of the basic minimal, the minimum amount of effort you should be putting into the class is getting through the homework. So definitely don't try to slack off on homework because I'm giving you a 10% cushion. You definitely want that cushion for emergencies. Try to get 100%. The better you do on homework, the better you will do in the class in general. And your tests and your quizzes will be online. So you do want to get used to an electronic format. Even though your tests aren't going to be, strictly speaking, just like your homework, they will be different. So tests and quizzes will be mostly like multiple choice, short answer, select all that apply, that sort of thing. Okay, so that's homework, that's the class key code, and you have a 10% cushion. So you can mess up 10% of the time on homework, although you have unlimited attempts, so try to get that 100%. Okay, quizzes and tests will be on Gradescope. So that's why it was important that you got that Gradescope email. So this is a platform, it gives me a lot of flexibility on how I can give you tests. It will also have the capabilities of having you guys upload scans to me. So whenever you're doing tests, I will require that you upload scans of your work so I can see how you're writing things out, if there's anything to give you partial credit, etc. So Gradescope is where your quizzes and tests are going to be. And like I said, they're going to be short format because typing out math is challenging for a lot of students. So I don't want you to have to strictly be typing out these huge formulas. So I've made them a lot of select all that apply, a lot of multiple choice, every now and then maybe a short answer here or there. So quizzes are going to be, I'm going to tell you when those guys are going to show up. I'll tell you about tests as well, when they're going to show up. But like I said, there's going to be 2 tests and 6 quizzes. I'll drop 1 quiz, but both tests will count. And yeah. Okay, let's move down. Expectations, work ethic. Pretty much don't slack off, study daily, take this seriously, participate in class, all that good stuff. So we are doing class online, obviously, and some of you, or virtually all of you, perhaps, have been doing classes online since about March of this year. So you would no doubt know that there are certain challenges to taking classes online. However, you do not have to have an inferior learning experience from taking classes online, because if there is a secret, I don't know, it would be this. Most of your learning takes place outside of the classroom anyway. So you should be spending more time outside the class working on your math than you're spending in class. So strictly speaking, the class is just a small part of your learning experience. So it's already not as important as you might think. However, it is important for you to participate, and class time will work the best when you're actually putting in work on the back end by yourself. And I just remembered something, but I'll mention it later. So participation is going to be very important. So whenever we're in a session like this and I'm asking questions and I ask you about a math question, try to respond, try to answer, and do so even more so than you would in an in-person class. The nice thing about an in-person class is you're all in a room, you're all facing the same way. There is an environmental reinforcement of what's going on, what's important. But when you're at home, things will be going on in the background and you'll be the only one paying attention. And it's going to be very hard to keep your attention. So you have to actively participate in the class to keep your attention. This is true in-person classes as well, but it's more so true now. So if you're normally someone who's shy to speak out in an in-person class, you really need to at least type something in the chat every now and then. Let me know you're alive. Let me know you're paying attention. Let me know you're breathing. It's good for you as well. You should be taking notes. You should be doing all things to be actively engaged in this class. So prerequisite knowledge. Pretty much if you have good algebra skills, you'll be fine for this class. In fact, a lot of this class will actually overlap directly with algebra classes that you had in high school. However, chances are I'll expect you to know them at a higher level because again, I would expect you to be able to do a lot of things without calculators. And because things our tests are online and they're multiple choice, there will be more conceptual questions as well, not just straightforward computation. And so you do want to pay attention, actively engage, and make sure you're good with your algebra skills. We'll talk about that a little bit more as well. So yeah, it's your responsibility to do well. That's pretty much what that is about. And so your grade ultimately does depend on you. I'm the guy who's pretty much going to actually put a grade in the system, but pretty much I'm going to be grading what you have done, and that's what that section is about. Now, blasphemies. Blasphemy is a very bad mistake. So these are some mistakes that I wanted to go over with you guys right now to make sure that we're all kind of on the same page, that we all know. These are the main mistakes. I mean, I've been teaching over 10 years, and these are the main mistakes that cause so much trouble in algebra class, in pre-calc class, and even in higher calculus classes. I'll see students making these mistakes, and they really shouldn't be making these mistakes. These are just some basic mistakes that have a lot of impact on how you do things with math. And so I want to talk about these. So here we're going to be doing a slightly more participation-based part of this class. So all right, get ready. So we're going to talk about the unforgivable mistakes. So these are the ones that are really, really bad mistakes. I expect you to never, ever make them. You'll be penalized heavily for them. And if you do any of these mistakes on a test, then I'm not even going to give you partial credit on that problem. And no, it's completely wrong. These are things that you should not be doing ever, okay? No matter what, okay? So let's actually go through those to make sure that we know what those things are. Okay, so let's see, where's, all right, there we go. So things to ever, or there's going to be one thing that things to never do, no matter what. Okay, so one, do not do what we call cancel across sums. Very common mistake, and it shouldn't be common, but it is, and it causes a lot of havoc. What does it mean to cancel across sum? I want to make sure that you guys all know what I mean so you don't make that mistake. So let's say you're working on a problem. Okay, you're working on a problem, you went through a bunch of calculations, and you ended up with a line that went like, okay, 2x plus 1 all over 2. And they're like, oh, I can cancel the 2's, can't I? So you go here and you're like, okay, here's a 2 and I can cancel the 2. And so that is going to be x plus 1. This is a kind of mistake that I see all the time. No, it is not x plus 1. This whole thing is wrong. No, you cannot cancel the 2's. Why? Because there's a plus sign, okay? So you had 2x plus 1 all over 2. You had a plus sign separating terms, okay? So you can think of addition or subtraction or minus sign. Would also prevent this. Right, pluses or minuses separate terms. Once terms are separate, you cannot cancel. So make sure you don't do that. Very common mistake, don't make it, okay? Let's see here. Okay, so that is what's called canceling across sums. Happens all the time, don't do it. Okay, here's another common mistake. Do not distribute powers across sums. And sums also means differences. So whether it's plus or minus, don't do that. Okay, so what do I mean by that mistake? Okay, so here's an example. If you go like, all right, we have x plus 3 all squared. Oh, I know what. I can square the x, square the 3. That's x squared plus 9. No, that is not x squared plus 9. I clicked on something. I think it's safer if I use my mouse here. That is incorrect. You cannot distribute the square across a sum because there is a sum here, right? There is a plus sign here, which means you can't take a power and move it across a sum. Okay? All right. What is actually x plus 3 squared? Someone tell me, what is x plus 3 all squared?
Can I tell?
Yep.
It's x squared plus 2 times x times 3.
Yeah, that gives you 6x.
Yeah, plus 3 squared.
Correct. So that is what this is. Okay, so that is correct. And believe it or not, it's very rare when students do it the way that you just did, but it's actually the better way to do it. I am very pleasantly surprised as to how you actually came up with that. So some students would realize that this is x plus 3 times x plus 3, and then they applied the distributive law, and you get that. Or even better is for you to know that formula. So a plus b squared, you should know, is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, so there are going to be formulas like this that I would expect you guys to know. This is one of them. Difference of squares, all difference of cubes, sum of cubes, expanding a binomial square, things of that sort. I expect you guys to know that formula. And they're actually going to be a lot quicker to actually get here than the distributive law would be. And using this formula is a much nicer way. So yeah, that's what that is. Here's another common way in which students would actually mess this up. Sometimes they will see a radical, like a radical of x squared plus 4. And they're like, oh, that's just x plus 2, isn't it? No, that is not x plus 2. This is distributing a power across a sum. Remember, radicals are powers. You can't distribute a radical across a sum. So if you see x squared plus 4 all under a radical, it is not the same as the square root of x squared plus the square root of 4. So make sure you don't do that, because a radical is a power. So if you had a square root, what is the power here?
It's 1/2.
It's 1/2,
Yeah.
right? So you can't just actually take that 1/2 power and put on each part. Not allowed. Okay, so you cannot distribute powers across sums. You cannot cancel across sums. FYI, we can cancel and distribute powers across multiplication and division only. So if I had 2 times x plus 1 all over 2, I could cancel those 2's and get x plus 1. That is okay. Or if I had something like 4 times x cubed, I could take the cube, put it on the 4, take the cube, put it on the x, and that would be true. So I think that's 64, right? So these are okay. Okay, but so that's fine and that's fine. But to actually do that when there's a plus sign, and that's okay because there's a multiplication here. And there's a multiplication here. So because there's a multiplication, we're allowed to do this distribution and the canceling. You cannot do it if there's a plus sign in between terms. So very common mistakes, don't do them. Here's something that's common, which is strangely common. I don't know why. Do not divide by 0. Okay, so 1 over 0, if you write that down, is meaningless. I know a lot of people will say it's 0. A lot of people will meaning. Is meaningless. It's not 0. It's not infinity. It does not make any sense, right? Whenever you get a 0 in a denominator, there are 2 things that could mean. Either you made a mistake somewhere and there shouldn't be the 0 in the denominator, or the problem that you're currently working on does not have a solution. And so you end up with something nonsensical, like a 0 in the denominator. It does not mean anything, okay? Now, in Calculus 1, you will be doing things, for those of you who have to go on to Calculus 1, you're going to be doing things where it's going to seem like you're dividing by 0 at some point, but if you pay attention in Calculus 1, you'll realize that you're usually in a limit situation here, and you're actually not dividing by 0, you're just getting closer and closer to dividing by 0. And that might have some sort of meaning. But to actually be at 0, to actually computationally, arithmetically plug a 0 in the denominator of a fraction, it makes no sense. And in fact, when we talk about domains of functions, looking where the denominator is 0 is going to be one of the things that we would want to look at, because we're going to say the function doesn't work at this point. Division by 0 does not mean anything. If you divide by 0 and tell me, oh, this is the answer, I'll know that you have no idea what you're talking about. Don't do it. Okay, so this is sort of a do, but maybe I can phrase it in terms of a do not. Do not neglect using parentheses. In other words, use parentheses and proper notation. So there are times when students will be in a situation where they know that a parenthesis should be used somewhere, but they don't write it down for whatever reason. So they'll write something and they'll know in their head that a parenthesis should be there, but they don't write it. What happens is later on, few steps later in the problem, they'll forget all these imaginary parentheses that they wrote down, and they'll end up making a mistake, and they'll actually write out the answer according to if there were not parentheses there as opposed to if there were parentheses, and they ended up making mistakes because of that. Notation is important. This is something that we'll talk about in the future, I suppose, but language, grammar, in terms of notation are actually super important when it comes to mathematics. People don't emphasize this enough. Paying attention to language and how you write things down and how you express yourself, it's more important in math class than it is in English class or some other language class. Trust me, people don't realize that, but it's actually true. How you say things, how you write things down are super, super duper important in math class. More important than other classes, because in other writing classes, you can be figurative. You can say things, you can be ironic, you can say things that you don't mean, you can use colloquialism, you can use slang, and you can say things and the reader will understand what you mean, even though you're technically not saying that thing. In mathematics, this is not the case. In mathematics, you have to be very specific. You have to say what you mean, and the reader was going to interpret what you mean. And if you plug something into a calculator, the calculator is not going to ironically take what you plug into it. It's going to compute exactly what you said. So language and how you express things in mathematics, super important. You want to obey the rules. So you don't want to you don't want to avoid proper notation and not write parentheses. So that's something that a lot of mistakes happen because students miss parentheses. At this point, what I want to do is I actually want to go through a small example, which I think a lot of you will know how to deal with anyway, even though technically this is something that we're going to cover in class again. But I have a feeling that a lot of you would have done this in high school or algebra class. So let's do some examples. So given f of x equals, say, 1 minus x squared, compute and simplify f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Do you guys know what that expression is called? Does anyone know what that is? F of x plus h minus f of x all over h? Have you seen it before? Yes, correct, Dylan, in the comments. It is called the difference quotient. It's a very, very super duper important expression. This is the difference quotient of f of x. It's called the difference quotient. In Calculus 1, you'll realize why this expression is important. Some of you who maybe even if you have seen this before, it wasn't explained to you why this is important. Why are you asking me, Professor, why are you asking me to randomly compute this random expression? Why? It's actually a super important expression, and you'll see in Calculus 1 why it's super important. But for now, I would just want us to take it at face value. For whatever reason someone wants you to compute this, how would you go about computing that? Okay, so f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. How do you go about computing that for this function right here? All right, go. Someone let me know what to do here. Dylan, you want to continue? You seem to have seen this before, maybe someone else? What's the first thing that I should write down?
Wouldn't you plug in the f of x like in the parentheses for x and then leave the h's there? Like
okay, just say verbally what you mean and I'll write as you're speaking.
Okay, I don't know if this is right or not, but
yeah,
wouldn't it be 1 minus x squared, like in parentheses plus h?
Okay, and
then it would be minus the 1 minus x squared all over h.
Okay, so no, that's not what that is. Okay, but thank you for responding. It's a very common error to do this though, but that's not what this is. Maybe you could, so let me tell you what this is. It's actually a very common mistake. This thing that you just wrote down here is actually, notice what it is. It's f of x, which is what this part is that you just wrote down, plus h separately, right? Notice that it is not f of x plus h. Does that help?
Yeah, I just forgot how to do that first part, but I remember doing it in calc.
Yeah, but so when you put an x plus h in parentheses here beside the function, what does that mean? What do we do? Can you tell me in words what that means when I say f of x plus h? What does that mean? What do we do? So this is a common error. I see this all the time. By the way, there's another common error here, but I'll probably point it out later. So if I say,
sorry.
Yes, go. No, go.
I was just wondering if you put the x plus h for all the x's in the f of x.
Right. So f of x plus h means replace each x in f of x with x plus h. That's what that means, okay? Now, being able to say that, and this is what I mean about language being important, being able to say that sentence in English is actually going to help you a lot with your math, but we'll talk about that a lot more moving forward. So, knowing that that's what that means, okay, so f of x equals 1 minus x squared. What is f of x plus h? Minus f of x all over h. Okay, so knowing that, whoever just said that, maybe you can tell me what it would have to look like.
So it would be 1 minus parentheses x plus h minus parentheses x plus h squared.
Right, that is correct. And very glad that you remembered the parentheses because that is actually a common error here. So notice here, putting parentheses around this, super important. Okay, so this is a very common mistake, and not putting parentheses around the x plus h is a common mistake. In fact, I would probably want you to memorize the sentence I just mentioned in this way. Replace each x with parentheses x plus h is a much better alternative. Okay, So that is f of x plus h. So here, this thing here is that part here. So f of x plus h means replace all x's with x plus h. If you just write down f of x and then put a plus h at the end, what you did was f of x plus h separately. It's not the same, okay? So that's what f of x plus h means. This is called forming a composite function. We'll actually talk about this later in class, but it's something that's worth going over. Okay, so now, all right, how do we continue? So that's the first part. How do we continue? Minus.
Yeah, minus
Mhm.
1 minus x squared all over h.
Okay. Is that fine? Everyone agree?
Yeah.
Nope. There's something wrong with what I just
No,
wrote.
there has to be a parenthesis.
Parentheses.
Yeah.
So there, you need parentheses here as well. That, again, as you guys are seeing, these are common errors to happen. Like, now I can tell you what the mistakes are going to be before they happen, but I want you guys to see yourselves. Like when students are going through this, these are just some common mistakes that happen all the time. You need parentheses here because you're going to need certain things to cancel out. And if you don't have parentheses, they're going to cancel out. Another thing is I would occasionally have students who know they should put parentheses here, but for whatever reason, they don't write it. They're just like, yeah, I know in my head they're there. Bad idea. Write the proper notation all the time. It's going to help so much. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going with this. Okay, so, all right, so the next thing I'd be like expand the parentheses. So this is 1 minus x minus h. Here, x plus h squared, that's just x squared plus h squared, right? So I can do that. Agreed?
No.
No, don't you have to do x
No.
times x plus h? So you'd have
Good, yes. If we were in person and anyone was like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense, I'd like throw my chalkboard, my eraser at them. Okay, yeah, no, I just made the mistake of distributing a power across a sum. A very common mistake. That is not correct. Your x plus h all squared. What is x plus h all squared?
x squared plus 2xh
Plus h squared, right. Now, yeah, so this is actually wrong. It's actually something that I see all the time though. So here we have 1 minus x minus h minus, you said x squared plus 2xh plus h squared.
parentheses.
Parentheses, okay, good. All right, so you guys are seeing it now. Okay, you need parentheses here. So, and no, I would recommend you write this line down, although some people normally skip this line and go right to the next one. So the next correct line should look like minus x squared minus 2xh minus h squared minus 1 plus x squared all over h. Ah, I see what we can do. We can cancel the h's right here, yeah?
No, you have to
No,
factor no.
no. All right, good. I like people shouting no at me when I do this. We say, yeah, nope, not kosher, not legal. And it is something, again, I see all the time. You cannot cancel the h's. What can I do here?
You can like subtract the like numbers and the like values.
Right, so I can start subtracting. Now, if you miss parentheses, this part is not going to work out for you. So plus 1 minus x plus x minus x squared plus x squared. So those are the common terms that go away. And so now we would have minus h minus 2xh minus h squared all over h. Oh, now I can cancel these h's, yeah?
No.
No. You cannot cancel the h's. Okay, what can I do? What can I do at this point? What's
You
allowed?
you could factor out the h's and then you
Right.
could cancel.
There's a common h. And now you'll notice there's a multiplication here. So now I'm allowed to cancel because I can cancel across multiplication. I cannot cancel across sums. So I do that. And yeah, now we have the final answer, -1 - 2x - h. That's your answer. Okay, so this is a nice problem because it highlights, I have seen students make every mistake in the book on a problem like this. Like every mistake that I talk about, you'll notice that there are opportunities to happen here. Missing a parentheses can cause you to get the wrong answer because things aren't going to cancel out as they should. Putting an h separately is a common thing, as well as distributing powers across sums at a point like this is a common thing. Canceling an h too early across a sum is a very common thing. The reason why I came up with these rules for what you should not do is because I've seen them so often over the years, and it's like it's you know, it shouldn't happen, and it causes a lot of mistakes, a lot of heartaches. Okay, so yeah, be aware of those. It will save you a lot of misery. Okay. Let's actually continue. Let's get through the rest of the stuff I want to talk about and a little bit more about how the class is going to be run. Okay, so do not commit any of those. Very bad. Okay, let's move on. Okay, great. I like the participation. Thank you guys for chiming in. Whether or not you get the question right or wrong, it is okay. Do speak up. It's better that I know in class what the mistakes are and what the misconceptions are than to find out on a test when it actually counts what the mistakes and misconceptions are. So I know it's hard, especially now we're kind of in a culture where people are afraid if they say the wrong thing, they get canceled, cancel culture, right? But it's not going to happen here. This is a safe environment. No one's going to make fun of you. And a lot of times mistakes that you make, a lot of people would have those same misconceptions. So speak up, participate. Thank you everyone who's been participating so far. But yeah, you need more of that. You need as much of that as possible in this class. So yeah, keep participating. When it comes to help, everyone needs help sometimes. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Here are some options when it comes to actually getting help in this class if you ever find that you need it. First, there's me. Come see me during office hours, shoot me an email, set up an appointment, talk to me whenever you have any issues. I would hope that at some point by the end of the semester, I would have seen every one of you during office hours, just at least to just check in, see you face to face, see who my audience is, because I'm not seeing all your faces right now. It'll be just nice. But yeah, check in whenever you have issues for sure. They can either be issues directly with the math or issues with whatever is going on in your life that you think is affecting your performance and you need some advice about, or you just want to make me aware, hey, Jhevon, this thing is going on. And like I said, you don't have to get too personal, but just let me know whenever anything is going on. Keep the communication lines open. Your online homework system does have a personal study plan feature where you can give yourself quizzes and tests and practice problems, and I highly recommend that you do that. The Dean's office, I believe, offered online tutoring. I didn't put that in here because I didn't get any direct information on that yet, but that was being offered during summer when I was teaching classes. They had Zoom tutoring. If I hear any information about that, I will update you guys. But yeah, chances are at some office on campus is going to be offering online math tutoring, so you can get access there. A lot of other nice math websites here that are very useful, especially if you don't want to involve another person. These are very useful. Wolfram Alpha, Symbol Lab, I love these sites. Even I use these almost on a daily basis. Very great sites. If you want to graph stuff, graph.tk or desmos.com is really good. You'll be surprised, a Google search can do wonders if you're having trouble with a topic. And these are just some math forums that I used to frequent. I don't frequent them that much anymore, but if you want a math forum kind of thing, you can do that. Your classmates, also a good resource. I think Blackboard has a forum feature. I could set one up so you guys can go into a forum, exchange emails and whatever, and maybe do a virtual study group. That's good. Okay, we do have a Syrian Disabilities office here. So if you have a disability that you think might affect your performance in the class, you should definitely reach out to them. Definitely do that. The first week of classes, do it today. If you're entitled to accommodations like extra time and so on and so forth, they would need to reach out to me before I can grant that to you. So there's a whole process of paperwork that has to be gone through. Reach out to them. The website is right here. At that website, you'll be able to see what they do, what services they offer. We just want everyone to be on equal footing and everyone to have the best chance for their situation. So reach out to them and see what they can do. Class rules, I mean, you're in your house, so I can't tell you how to behave in your own home. I get it. But just in spirit, try to obey the class rules. Try to pay attention. Don't be on your cell phone or watching multiple screens at the same time. Yeah, just try to pay attention. Try to participate as much as possible. Academic integrity, don't cheat. If I catch you cheating, it's not going to be great. And I don't want to be in that situation. You don't want to be in this situation. Let's not do that. Okay, important calendar events. I took a snippet of some important calendar events here, so you'll see when colleges closed or when they switch a day. So there are times when the class schedule will actually switch. So there is a Wednesday during the semester where we actually have class, even though our class is Monday, Thursday, because a Monday schedule will take effect. And there are some calendars that events that tell you that. Last day to take a class, pass, fail. Last day to withdraw from a class, days are all here. The final exam dates are here as well. So these are just some very important dates. And the full academic calendar is here. You should check that out and just be aware of things that you want to do. Here's the topics list, the things that we'll be covering in class. A lot of it is, and in the beginning, we'll actually spend a lot more time on things and go really slow because I'm really building everything up from scratch. So there will be a lot of repetition, a lot of things that you'll learn from algebra class, but I will be teaching you the better way to do things and how you want to think about doing things. And once you actually have the foundations down, doing the rest of the stuff, we can do it relatively quickly. So the pace is going to be very slow in the beginning and it's going to move forward, but ultimately these are the topics that we want to cover. Usually I don't get to chapter 10 at all, but we'll cover everything except topic 33. Okay, now as for actual lectures. We are doing a hybrid model. What that means is it's kind of a reverse classroom. You're going to consume the lecture material on your own, and we meet once a week and we talk about them here in Zoom. So I have pre-recorded lectures. And one thing that I'm going to mention here, and I will be giving you more advice, but these lectures are taught by me, and they do include every other week a sort of advice segment that I give to the class about just general study habits and how to survive college, how to survive math class. So you'll have a lot of advice from virtual Jhevon. So if you click on each of these, again, they're clickable. It will link you to the lecture that I will go over with you guys. So you'll consume these lectures, and Zoom refers to on that day, we'll also meet through Zoom to talk about them. So the dates here are when you should be consuming the lectures. So today is lecture 0. Now what we're currently doing right now counts as lecture 0. So you don't have to watch lecture 0 on there. So what we're doing today counts as lecture 0. That's on Zoom. On Monday, the 31st, you are going to watch lecture 1. We will not be meeting. So you just consume lecture 1. On September 3rd, you're going to watch lecture 2, and we will have a Zoom meeting on lecture 2 because that's just me checking in. And on that day, I'm going to check in with you guys. Okay, you guys saw lecture 1, saw lecture 2. Any questions, anything you want to go over, anything you didn't understand, etc. So I'm going to be checking in with you guys regularly, but the actual lecture material you will be consuming on your own. And maybe I can actually show you guys quickly what that looks like. So here's the clickable syllabus. So you might go here and you can click on one of these. And you'll see it will link you to a class playlist, the good old days, back when I was teaching in person. And here I'm telling them how to be good at math. And I'm going to go through that with you. And then I start teaching. So you're going to consume the lecture materials here. And then you check in with me and we do it. So you kind of have the freedom of when that you're going to consume the lecture material. But for the most part, you are going to want to stay abreast of the schedule that I posted. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now the location of your quizzes, these are when they happen. Quizzes will happen on Gradescope. They will happen at the beginning of class whenever you have a quiz. So on September 14 is your first quiz. I will quiz you on lecture material up to lecture 3, right? So it says so right here. Then you would watch lecture 4 on that day, and then you will meet with me on Thursday and we'll go over the quiz as well as any questions you'll have. So the Zoom meeting right after a quiz, I will normally go through the quiz with you guys, etc. So that's the schedule. So this is what you want to keep on pace. Homeworks are actually due just before test 1 and just before test 2, but I highly recommend that you do the homework as you're going through the lectures. Keep on pace with the schedule that's here. That's definitely how you're going to want to do this. You don't want to wait until the end to actually do homework. Okay, so that's your schedule. The final exam, normally by this point, I know when the final exam is, but it's 2020, lots of things are in flux. I don't know the actual schedule. I do know that it will be during final exam week. So the final exam, while I can't tell you specifically when it's going to be, I do know it's going to be at some point between December 11th and December 18th. So make sure that you don't make travel plans for that or anything else. So that's the schedule. I mentioned here, class policy we're going over right now. I mentioned when the Zoom lectures are going to happen and everything is hyperlinked. Okay, so there's an anonymous questionnaire that I like to give to my class, just kind of see the demographics, see who I'm teaching, what your majors are, what your concerns are at this point. And because I can't actually do that questionnaire now, I did an electronic questionnaire. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to post in the chat a link to a Google's Forms. So there it is. I would like you all to fill that out by end of day today. It doesn't have to be right away. Start doing it now so that you don't forget. But by end of day today, fill out that questionnaire and let me know. Just to kind of see what you want to get out of the class, what your experience level is, what your major is. Do you know what classes, math classes you'll actually need? Are there any dates in advance that you'll know you'll be missing from the semester for religious reasons, etc.? Anything you'd like to add, etc. So do that questionnaire. I just posted it in the chat. And yeah, at this point, I said all I need to say. That's how the class is going to be run. But while you guys are filling out that questionnaire, I'll take any last minute questions at this point. Okay, any questions about what I said, how things are going to be run, any concerns you guys have? I will take those questions now in the last 5 minutes. And of course, as I mentioned, if you have any questions at any point throughout the day or when you're going through these lectures, you can reach out to me through email. There's no difference between Cengage and Webassign. Cengage is the publishing company, and Webassign is the actual name of the software that they use. Yeah. So Cengage is the general company. Webassign is the specific software that you're going to be using that they employ. So homework is going to be on Webassign. Quizzes and tests will be on Gradescope. And Jupyter Grades is where your report card will be. Here's where you're going to watch the lectures. And Zoom refers to meetings with me. So at the beginning of class, we have Zoom meetings every week, right? So you'll be watching 2 lectures per week, and we'll have roughly 1 Zoom lecture per week, where the Zoom is in real time. You come in and you check in with me. Let me know you guys are alive, how you're doing, how you're finding the material, dealing with issues, questions, comments, going over tests and quizzes, etc. That's what we do on the Zoom days. Any other questions? So In general, even with sessions like these, I do expect you to take notes, but I will be providing a PDF version of what you're seeing here, all these notes here. I highly recommend, again, everything you can do to stay active and engaged with the class, do it. This includes taking notes. So I will be providing notes for you, whatever I do here with you, but you should be taking notes when you're watching the other lectures and whenever you're in Zoom with me. I'm also recording this session, and I will make the recording available to you guys. So yeah, just so you know. Yeah, so they will also be posted in a YouTube playlist, and I will share the playlist with you guys. In fact, I believe on the class website, the playlist is already there. Let me double check that. So if you go, let's go to the class webpage. If you guys are seeing this. Yeah, if you scroll down here, yeah, below you'll find the Zoom playlist for our synchronous meetings. So when the lecture videos, the pre-recorded lecture videos are here. For your section, I'm going to be posting the videos here. So if you click there now, it's an empty playlist, but I will upload today's video to this playlist here and all subsequent videos. But yeah, and again, when I do make the uploads, I will notify the class again. Hey, I uploaded the lectures here. Here's the playlist. Make sure you know how to access it. So we're pretty much out of time. Hope you can finish that questionnaire in the next few minutes and send it off to me. If you have any more questions or comments, concerns, shoot me an email. I'll be available. I'm teaching several other classes today, but in between classes, I'll be checking emails. Yeah, we're kind of at the end right now. So good luck. And I did this protocol I taught this very same class in the summer, and I did the same protocol. It seemed to work fine. The students did well. And so, yeah, I anticipate good things. Thank you for all those who participated. Those who didn't participate, may you participate in the future. Please don't be shy. We're all working in this together here. I'm here to help you. Your classmates are here to learn. Let's all work together to get through things. So yeah, if there are no more questions, that's it. Get the stuff done. I'll be seeing you guys next week. You have the links to everything. So, okay. So I think we're okay. But there was a part here where I was really running through lightning fast through everything. So anything you missed, just shoot me an email. Any questions you have? So thank you for showing up. Thank you for participating. I will see you guys next week. Hopefully I see you guys face to face during office hours at some point. Yeah, let me know if you have any issues. With that said, we are going to end today's meeting, and you're welcome everybody. Thanks for showing up and participating.
Thank you.
Thank you, you're welcome. Thank you. All right, and without further ado, ciao, I'll see you in the next one.